Hi everyone, my name is Helenique Argeru for Women of Truth. We have conferences, seminars, special events, and these incredible meetups with women from around the world who have something really powerful to share with us. Either they talk about something in their own path, their own journey that has shown them or revealed to them their own inner wisdom, or they've been through some breakthroughs and some difficult challenges, maybe even to discover some more of their own personal truths. So all of these women are walking in their own magic, not living up to the expectations of others, really walking the talk. They are women of integrity, women of truth, and they are really blessed, in my opinion, because they have been entering my circle quite naturally, intuitively, tuning in with these great people around the world, like Dr. Renee Langley. I'm so excited to have her with us. Welcome to you, Sarah. It's really beautiful to have you here, and it's Sarah Renee Langley.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be in your presence and those who are watching. I'm just so excited to just share my truth and just to collaborate and to connect in what you're about to share. So thank you for your time.
Excellent. So I just want to let people know how we met and why we are speaking today, because it's a true testimony to perseverance and real compassionate sharing and forgiveness between us, because really the truth is we bumped into each other at the Women's Economic Forum. I took a photo with you because you were dressed so beautifully. I put it on Facebook, and then Facebook reminded me a few years later that I'd had this photo with you. And on that day I decided, okay, great, I'm actually going to follow you, find you on Facebook, and find a way to actually do an interview with you, because I read the cover of your book at the time and I remembered we just had this really happy smiley face moment. And that started, I think, probably beginning of the year, and I went through these incredible scheduling nightmares, and you forgave me each and every time. And then we just didn't get it together, and then you were traveling, and then we had a few miscommunications. So really, for everyone to know, this is a testimony to what can happen if you just push on through. So I just want to thank you formally for that. And I myself am surprised that I stuck in there, and here we are. So it's really been a blessing. So Sarah, you actually have studied a doctorate of human behavior psychology philosophy at Capella University. You've also studied counselling psychology at Eastern University. You've done leadership studies at the CEO Space International, and also coaching and leadership at Peak Potentials. And you've studied psychology at Westchester University, and you actually now are the author of books and traveling the world. You went to my home country, South Africa, very recently, and I'm just excited to spend this time with you. So tell us a little bit about your real understanding of the work that you're doing in the world with women right now. I believe it has something to do with transformation and empowerment. Can you tell us a little more?
Sure. All right. Thank you so much. So, everything really starts back into where things started with me. The people that I wanted to help and serve, it goes based on what I've been through and what I experienced. Yeah. And I realized that actually plays part with our life lessons. It really plays part with the anointing that's on our lives to help empower, to inspire, to educate, to help transform lives. So it really pretty much start back home, with yourself. So while I did have all the credentials and degrees, and I have so many letters behind my name, I had stopped counting. It's like, okay, I have all this, but at the end of the day, there were times that I still didn't like myself. There were still times that I was really disappointed in who I was. And so I said, well, wow, if I'm feeling this way, I wonder if there's other women like myself who maybe high achievers, determined, ambitious, hard driven, and, have all these things that they want to do, but just aren't happy with who they are in their own skin. And because of the fact that I have experienced these things head on, as a matter of fact, I share these life lessons in the books that I've written. One in particular, it's a powerful book. All of them are powerful, but this one particular one that I just recently had published called Speak Your Voice, Unmute Your Voice, Be Heard, and Get Your Power Back. I really share intimately my life lessons from when I was a little girl up to date, up to something that I went through most recently. And I felt compelled to speak my truth, because there are so many people, so many women in particular, who suffer in silence. And they feel that there's no one else that can really understand where they're coming from or what they're going through. to the point that they make such tragic decisions. We've experienced that over here in the States when we had some very, high profile individuals who have taken their lives. And, whether they were depressed, whether they didn't feel like they could tell anyone because of who they were and the status that they held. I said, you know what? I cannot keep silent. I have to see how I can be of help and a service. My heart's cry is to give and to serve, to make the decision to help and to give and to serve myself so that other people can be set free and to be transformed and be just okay with their truth and who they are. So with all that said, all of that played part with my credentialing, with my studies, with everything that I've been through personally, academically, professionally, that comprised me of who I am today, being an award-winning international empowerment and transformational speaker, being a leadership and executive coach, and most of all, and most importantly, just really being Sarah, this being her, where I can be relatable and help other women to be in a position to do what my brand calls. I help women to take off the limits, to break the glass ceilings, to tap into their limitless potential, and to discover their next level of greatness. So I definitely love to help women to lead and live lives without limits, help them to build businesses without barriers, and to create connections and careers without consequences, so they can truly be who they are and stand in their truth.
Beautiful. So you spoke about your own experiences as a high achiever, as someone who's gone after education, knowledge, and that you learned so much through that. What would you say was your biggest life lesson, or one of them that you could share with us?
That you can never stop learning. Mm-hmm. You can be whatever age that you are, but you can never stop learning. Wow. So funny thing, when I finished out my doctorate, I said, you know what, this is it. This is the last road. I do not have to go back to school. I've done everything that everyone wanted me to do. I made my parents proud. I was the first one in my household to obtain a doctorate. And that was really big in my culture, being an African-American woman or being African American, for the fact that my parents and my grandparents, my great-grandparents did not have the formal education. My dad finished school, or he didn't finish school at all. He had to stop at the 6th grade to take care of his grandmother and his mother and his great-grandmother. So it was a big deal for me to represent my family and to go all the way and get my doctorate. But see, I looked at that as my emancipation papers. I looked at it as, after I got this all done, then that's it. I'm not going back to school, and I don't have to learn anymore. And come to find out, no, you just don't stop learning after your doctorate. You can never stop learning, because life is always teaching you. So best believe to be ready and to receive what life is teaching.
Excellent. I like that so much, to put it out even clearer, that life is teaching all of us all the time, that life is the biggest teacher. Absolutely. So when you speak about this life lesson, I'm also just wondering, was there any moment in your life that you could share with us that was truly life-changing?
Yes. So as I mentioned, one thing I do pride myself of is to be an open book. I love being transparent, because I have a saying, if I was big and bad enough to do certain things, then I should be big and bad enough to share it. And I figured that because of my life lessons that I've learned, it wasn't just meant for me. I always tell my clients, and even when I'm speaking, that we're not here for ourselves. We are here for someone else. But I always have to preface and put a caveat out there, meaning that because as women, we do cater and attend to everyone else and make ourselves dead last. I talk about that in my one of my other books. Is called It's Your Turn Now, 7 Secrets to Living Life on Your Own Terms. So I help women to position to make themselves first, unapologetically and guiltlessly. So because of that, and I had to learn, not so much the hard way, but I had to learn that I couldn't just always put myself last or help people and it be at my expense. But nevertheless, with the call that's on our lives, the purpose and the destiny that we hold, we have to remember that our lives are not our own. It is for someone else. So what I've learned, and one of my biggest life lessons, actually came from me being, while I may be an award-winning international speaker, a coach, author, travel the world, doing so many great things, what I am most proud of is that I'm a caregiver for my mom, who have late-stage Alzheimer's. And I have to say that that's one of the most humbling experiences, to at one point be raised by this strong woman who has been my hero, and I was in her hands, to now her being in my hands, that I am the one that is her hero, and having to advocate for her, being her voice, because she can't speak anymore. She's totally incapacitated. She can't do anything for herself. But I realized that even with her silence and her not speaking, she speaks volumes, because I was transparent enough to share our love affair on Facebook and other social media platforms, where it really have impacted so many lives, where people will, inbox me and say, thank you so much, Dr. Sarah, for sharing your story about your mom and myself and you. I feel like I'm living vicariously through you two. I don't have a relationship with my mom, but you really restored, faith in humanity by you showing, the two of you just showing your love for one another. Or the fact that, again, as I always end my speaking engagements, or whenever I'm speaking, I always end with saying that I feel, as not just women, but just as human beings, that we are called to serve, to help, to make this world a better place. And if us being able-bodied, or I'm sorry, if my mom, who's not able-bodied, is able to speak volumes and impact lives the way that she does without saying a word, how much more can we do, being able-bodied, being able to speak and use our voices as a tool to help to impact lives and to transform lives and make this world a better place? How much more can we do? So I think my biggest life lesson has been being a caregiver, and just being in a humble position to care for someone who had once cared for me and really rallied for me and went all out for me. There's nothing that I won't do for this young lady, because her life is in my hands. So yeah, that's the biggest life lesson that I have.
And I know very much the story of Alzheimer's. I had a grandmother who had that illness. It is a very interesting teaching process, where you really also have to see how you can ever repay the debt,
Yeah.
grandparents or parents. And I think this is a good way, where this circle completes in some way. And as a child, you, the young little Sarah that you were, and the Dr. Sarah that you've become, I'm sure you see the differences. And I wondered if you would be able to share with us the advice you would give the younger you, knowing what you know now about the world at 8 years old. How did you see the world, and what would you tell your 8-year-old self?
Oh, Lord, that's always a great question. What could I tell? What's interesting, sometimes I'll pull out my picture book and I will show my mom. I actually kind of stopped, because I can tell sometimes it kind of makes her sad, because she knows that there's a difference within herself. But when I would share her the picture books, and when we were little kids and where we are today, I would look at myself, Helenique, and I was like, wow, what would I tell you, little Sarah? Probably like, stop, don't do that. Look, when you turn 15, don't go there. Don't do that. At 21, oh Lord, don't do that. Probably what I would tell my little 8-year-old self is, it's going to be just fine. That you are equipped with every single provision necessary that God has graced you and blessed you with to become. What's interesting when you mentioned about that, that is one of my biggest quotes. I believe it came from Napoleon Hill, when he said that, the beginning, I'm going to paraphrase it, something along the lines of the pursuit of knowledge. The pursuit of knowledge is something. But I changed it up. So this is what I say. The pursuit of knowledge is coming to know who you are, like becoming. And I remember the late, great Jim Rohn, who has been a motivational speaker. Back in 1981, he was sharing some great nuggets that's just relevant for today. And I'm just so amazed by what he shared. But pretty much he was empowering people to become. It's not so much of what our life lessons is to gain, whether it's money, fame, or fortune. Really, success in who you are is to become who you were born to become. So when I look at my little self, I would tell myself that it's okay. You have everything necessary. It doesn't matter your upbringing. It doesn't matter If you grew up in a poor family, in a poor neighborhood in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA, it doesn't matter that, you know, you may struggle a lot of times because you didn't have money. It doesn't matter. It all just means about you becoming who you were already called to become.
Beautiful. I was feeling that word become really strong
Yeah.
speaking. And many women trying nowadays to become who they've visioned themselves to be, or who the world calls them forth to be, encounter a lot along the way that they need to clear from their path. And so one of the ways I talk about that is the lies that we believe as women, the sometimes intentional deceit that's being pushed through the program and pushed through the conditioning for women, and then sometimes the just accidental path that we walk, where we stumble into a lot of beliefs and we take them on and we absorb them and integrate them, and then assume that that's the truth of who we are. So what would you say is the biggest lie that women live with?
Oh, Lord. The two that come out. One is that we're not good enough, or we're not enough. And that the second is really the imposter syndrome. What's interesting is when I had my counseling practice, I would teach women or my clients about how we had to integrate mind, body, and spirit. That we can put our focus on one element of the three elements, but if we're not attending to the remaining two, then we're not a whole self. So we have to make sure that we are well balanced, or well centered and grounded in who we are, so that we can be a whole integrated self, no matter what, good, bad, and indifferent. I found that even with me included, feeling like, all right, you know what, we're just not good enough. I don't look like Helenique, I don't have her skin complexion, I don't have her cute, mouth, I don't have her hair, I don't have this. We always comparing ourselves to one another, as opposed to appreciating and embracing who we are. I talk to women also in my book, It's Your Turn Now, 7 Secrets to Living Life on Your Own Terms. I talk about the mask that we wear. And I'm sure that this has been taught in so many different ways, but there's 3 elements of the mask that we wear. And it's the reason behind it and the justification that why we wear these particular masks, where one mask is called the pretty self. So we would put our best foot out there, and we would give the impression that we have everything together. So we'll make sure, like, for instance, I'll always am transparent. So before we even came on to the interview, Helenique, you couldn't see my screen because I was too busy putting on my makeup. I wanted to make sure I was looking good, because I knew that I was going to be in great company that was going to look just as well. So I said, no, I have to make sure that I bring it. So I had to put on my little mascara, I put a little lipstick. So yeah, the pretty stuff is what we will present to make everybody believe that we have it together. But then you have the desperate mask, where it's really the doing mask. When we find that people do see past our mask, our pretty mask, and they get to see the imperfections, the blemishes that we're trying to hide, then we are going to perform even extra hard to try to divert or to distract from them seeing our blemishes, or what we consider as blemishes, to the point that the last mask is the dreaded mask. And that's the mask that even us wearing it do not even go there, because that's where we really feel it's a place of dread. We really feel that we're very insignificant. We feel like we're nothing. We feel like we're just not enough. It's really that bad of a place that, in all respect, the pretty mask was really who we were or who we are. But we are too busy comparing and listening to people who in our lives when we were growing up, that we weren't going to be, we weren't going to amount to anything. We were going to be great. So we're doing all these things and not really appreciating or embracing who we truly are. Good, bad, and different, blemishes and all. And I just say that when we get to a place that we stop comparing, we stop thinking that we're not enough or we're not good enough, and just be who we are. In my book, I call it Imperfectly Perfect, to embrace who we are imperfectly are. And that's what's perfect for us. And if no one likes it, there's a saying, do not even dare to play small just to make someone else feel good about themselves. Rather, go ahead and shine your light so bright that you're going to clear away the darkness you know, I call those folks dark people, those darkness, not dark people, but more so like, you know, the ones that bring back, you know, bad karma or bad, you know, vibes to you. Let your light shine so that perhaps they will make a decision to stop being so dark and being more of a light in this world. So, yeah.
Oh, so many beautiful things that you're sharing about how to transform into more and more of your own true self and stand more and more powerfully in that. Like there's masks that we wear that we need to become aware of and start avoiding the temptation to use those masks around other people.
Right.
It takes some
Yes.
time
Yes.
to do all of that. And there's so many movements now teaching so many people around the world how to do many things on this deeper psychological level, how to get in touch with a deeper part of ourselves and listen to these voices. And of course, this whole movement now with women around the world is also encouraging so many women to wake up, to go for what they really want, to give them support and strength, to really break a lot of myths around relationships, around financial independence, etc. So many things that is happening. I wondered what you think about this women's movement and if there's anything that you would like to add. Of course, at our events, we look very much at having speakers that can talk to the leadership qualities that women can have and women are busy developing in the world right now. And we also are very interested in supporting women to get into decision-making positions.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
And there's so much going on really at the moment, but it's also a critique people have that this has been going on for very long, but we still have the same glass ceilings, the same pay gaps, so much violence against women and children still. So what do you think about it all? What would you say about it? And what would you add?
Well, sure. Well, I'm excited at the fact that this is revolutionary. This is a revolutionary movement that's going on right now. And while there may be nothing new under the sun, as it say in the Bible, nevertheless, it's still our part that we play in this generation, in this time, to make to really make a dent into what has ended up being created, whether we allowed it, and I mean we as human beings allowed for the world to turn into the way that it is. Like our job was, and our duty was to make this world a better place, to keep it and maintain it as a beautiful place with beautiful people. And because of, you know, sin, because of, you know, evil creeping in and then our, again, looking at ourselves as if we're not enough, or looking at ourselves as if we're lacking, as opposed to just really realizing that we don't lack anything, that we have everything that we are supposed to have to become who we are called and born to become and to do and to serve. If we can reframe our mindset and reframe, as you may know, is just to look at things differently, a different perspective, a different philosophy. When we come with that type of mindset, I think that it makes a world of difference, and it makes it more powerful in this revolutionary movement of having our voices to be heard, to speak our voices, to speak our truth, and be okay with it, so that we make some changes now. You know, over in the States, there was a big thing about these men back in, I want to say November, in Hollywood, where it was going on for some time, for a very long time, where women were degraded or degrading themselves for the point to become rich and famous. And so, you know, they had to meet with these directors and do all kind of crazy things just to be famous. And they were silent. They didn't share about what was going on until all of a sudden the right women spoke up, and it became such a domino effect that now we had these movements going on here in the States. Even when our very own over here in the States, President Trump, when he became president, I was just sharing that with someone over in South Africa. I was like, wow, it was so like powerful to see, not just the States. When he was inaugurated in January, back in 2016, the next day, women all over the world, not just in the States, were protesting, but all over the world. That right there was so mind-blowing. I said, wow, we are really empowered and inspired. If we can do something like that, there's nothing that we can't do. I'm just happy that we're now finally, you said this earlier, we're waking up. We're not being asleep anymore. We're waking up to our power. We're waking up to our truth. We're waking up to who we are. We're waking up to accepting and embracing who we are, good, bad, and indifferent. Whoever called it good, bad, and indifferent. We should be able to look at ourselves and just be just okay, that we are more than enough, and that we have so many things that it takes and what is necessary to make this world a better place like we were supposed to do in the first place. So I'm just happy for the change. I'm happy for the transformation. I'm very big on liberation and freedom. So, when you mentioned about the financial independence, people getting out of debt, they're just waking up and no longer being a slave to something, slave to, old habits, or slave to what people have said about them that they couldn't shake off, and created their own narrative about it. I'm just happy to see that we are waking up to our power and our truth. And that in and of itself, we're now understanding that we do have leadership capabilities, that it doesn't just fall for men, but we actually have leadership. We always have, taking care of the home and things like that. We always were in leadership positions. The men usually would come to us anyway. And, we are the ones that make the final decisions on stuff anyway. I mean, 90% of buying power is with women, So, if that man wants to buy a truck, he can't just buy it without running that past by us, So, yes, we just have to wake up and understand who we truly are. And I think that we're doing that right now. So I'm just happy to see it.
Yeah, you put such great accents on freedom, liberation, on transformation, and really what's already there, what's working, and what's growing, expanding already. And that the moment when you said we are empowered and we are inspired, I really, really felt that. I think it's so true, and good to just hear it confirmed, and good to recognize it in ourselves, and to know that it's here for good, that we have used these wonderful qualities we have as individuals, but also as women, and the leadership quality we already have in us for generations, and take it more seriously to actually bring more change and goodness to the world. And I'm sure you bring so much of that to all the people around you that you connect with and that you speak to. And I wondered if you could share with us any project that you feel passionate about, or something that you'll tempt and tease us to follow or attend perhaps in 2019. What can we look forward to from you?
Awesome. Yes, thanks. So I mentioned earlier, I'm not necessarily rebranding myself, but my focus has been on, with a play on words, Leadhers. So we as Leadhers are leaders. And so we can have a better understanding in knowing. When you mentioned about glass ceilings, I used to think that glass ceilings were based on society, on men, they capping us on what they think is our worth and how much we can get paid. And, it just drives the narrative of us feeling like we're just not enough. We're not good enough. We have to ask for permission before we do anything. But then I realized that sometimes we as women put the glass ceilings above our own heads, that we are known to self-sabotage. We are known to create narratives and justify it to keep ourselves playing small, as opposed to embracing our power and our light. So with that said, I am really big on this current project that I'm working on. It's for 2019. It's in November. I love to travel, as you know. I'm looking forward to doing these as destination retreats, but for now, planning it in Philadelphia and planning it in the States. It's called the Bold, Boundless, Bankable Empowerment and Leadership Conference. So I was planning to do it back in 2017, but life happens. I am still a caregiver, so I was not able to fulfill that particular project. However, I was looking to do it in 2019, and it's all based on the breakthrough of a limitless Leadher. That's the theme. Bold, Boundless, Bankable Empowerment and Leadership Conference. The theme is called the breakthrough of a limitless Leadher. So I'm helping and positioning women, again, to live and to lead lives without limits, to be able to build businesses. So for those who are interested in being aspiring entrepreneurs, to just leave the status quo, to leave corporate America, and they want to take a crack at business so that they can feel more fulfilled. Right. So they can feel more purposeful, powerful, and profitable. It doesn't mean that to stay at corporate, America or corporate, wherever, country that they're in, that they have to still have someone to call the shots. They can call the shots themselves and start their own thing and still be purposeful, powerful, and profitable, and leaving a legacy for future leaders that are following right behind them. I'm helping them to really come to know who they are, lead a life without limits, build businesses without barriers, and then most importantly, creating connections without consequences. And what I mean by that is that what you're doing right now, that's why I really commend you and what you're doing, Helenique, and just how you're rallying and bringing women together from all over the world, just for us to all raise our voices in the same banner to help empower women and help them to come to know who they are. I commend you, and that's why I'm honored to have the chance to partner with you in your vision and co-labor with you in your movement, so that, again, with my project, just helping women to have the right connections, building relationships, the right ones, so that the stigma or the misconception that women can't get along, or, we're chatty and we're backbiters and things like that. That's not true. It's still a lie. And that's the whole point of building connections without consequences, to be okay and without fear of connecting with other women who share the same type of theme and vision as other women. That's what we're doing right now. This is what we're displaying and showing right before everyone's eyes. So that is what the Bold, Balanced, Thinkable Leadership and Empowerment Conference is all about. That's going to be in November 2019. But I'm going to start promoting it in November of this year, so that to give people a whole year to know more about who I am, what I'm doing, and how this will best serve the masses, so that they can be a part of the conference. So that's what's coming down the pipe. Y'all heard it first.
Yeah, it's so nice to be able to help you put the word out with that. And I want you to know, and everyone listening, that when you actually put the title Leadhers on your Facebook, that's when I knew for sure that I wanted to speak with you, because I resonated totally with that word, and I thought it was one of the most cleverest ways to bring all of what we're talking about into focus. So I thought that was genius. Awesome. And I really feel the truth of women collaborating, getting stronger and stronger. And we've all, I think, had times where we've been confused about other women and power and strength in women. And I think this is something we're also focusing on, to try and teach and support other women to become collaborative and to not be competitive and to not be in comparison. And really, we've inherited a lot of toxic aspects in us that maybe we all working to cleanse. And so this is a very important way, is to be able to stand with other women that you feel you can respect and respect you, and to also step away from what you mentioned before, people who bring dark vibes to you. So I really hope women are hearing that in our talk today, and feeling the support to do that in their own lives, and to be able to raise each other up is one of the most amazing qualities of our feminine power. There's a beautiful collection of qualities we have as women, and when we able to step into that, like I feel we are doing, and every time I speak with a woman around the world, it gets stronger for me, and that's why I'm eternally grateful to all of them for that experience. It actually gets stronger in the field too, which means if we all start learning how to do that, it just means we have to learn to work through the things that we get triggered into somehow, and that always comes from some wounding relationship, I think, from before, either with sisters or other women in the past, or maybe our mothers, or issues that we have with trust, and building healthy relationships. So let's do that together. And as everyone watching can see, it's possible. We can support each other's work and actually stand together. So if there's anything we can do to promote that conference, you can let people know that information will be on your website, I imagine, so you'll have that on this video. So anyone who wants to travel there and know more about how to access this kind of teaching from you can get all the information there. It's left now only to greet our audience with a small symbolic prayer of 3 words. They're either words that are connected or they're words separate that mean something really significant to you, Sarah. So you choose these 3 words as a way for us to remember you, your wisdom, and to capture what you've told us today. So what 3 words would you choose?
Sure. That's awesome. I love that. Thanks.
Yeah.
The first word that pops up is peace.
Mm.
Peace. Peace, peace, peace. The next word is connection. And the last word is freedom. Yeah. Peace, connection, and freedom. Those are the 3 words.
Very important qualities for us all to learn how to cultivate and learn to respect in the world and inside ourselves as well. I want to thank you for hanging in there with me, for being one of the most perseverant interviewees there have ever been. And I remember that you used to wave at me every time we had a potential wave coming on Facebook, and then I would miss your wave. And I wasn't sure, should I wave or just schedule another time? So I'm really happy and feeling very blessed to have met you. I can feel the spiritual strength that you have, and I wish you the best with the work that you're doing, and I really hope to meet you in person at some point.
Likewise. Thank you so much. The pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for your time, and it's just an honor to have spoken with you and to those who are going to see this. So thank you so much for your time.
So we'll also be putting this in the group called Women of Truth X Factor. If you haven't joined that group yet, you can. The link will be here too. And you can also tell us more about what you're doing, Sarah, if you like, on Fridays. It's a free promotional slot for anybody who wants to share what they do. And I want to just send a special wish to pass my love to your mother.
Thank you. I will.
The best. Thanks so much for your time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.